Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our Friday weekly lunch and learn. Every Friday at noon, Sierra Club Iowa chapter goes live to give you another important environmental update. And we have really big news for you this week. Big changes happened to Summit's route. They're trying to pitch it as a good thing, but it's never a good thing when a pipeline company drops 200 miles of pipeline route. So we are going to give you a quick update on some of these changes that Summit's trying to make and what we think about them. So I will share my screen and get started. All right, so hopefully you can see my screen right now. Summit dropped 200 miles from their route. It's a big victory, but we've got a lot of work to do. So Summit dropped 4 ethanol plants, and that is the Poet Hanlantown plant right here, the Absolute Energy plant up here, the Poet Corning plant down here, and the Green Plains Shenandoah plant right here. And then all of these areas in yellow, so this area, this square, this little area, and up here got dropped, totaling about 200 miles of route across the state. But some of the interesting things about this that we're still kind of curious about is, why didn't they drop their route up to South Dakota if they're continuing to now say they're going somewhere else? Did Summit drop the ethanol plants or did the ethanol plants drop Summit? Are these plans potentially wanting to hook up with Trailblazer or are they just out completely? They're leaving their doors open. What they filed with the Iowa Utilities Commission about this change says absolutely nothing about what happens when the pipeline leaves Iowa. It doesn't say where it's going or what they're going to do with the CO2. But publicly in their press conference, they said that they are going to be going through Nebraska to Wyoming with potential of EOR or permanent sequestration. But again, they did not remove this section of routes. They're leaving their options open, which is what we've been pointing to this whole time is I don't think that Summit even knows what they're doing. They are trying to figure out a way to get this project approved as we continue to have wins after win along this 5-year fight to try to protect Iowa from Summit's carbon pipeline. So in Summit's PR statement, they tried to pitch this as a good thing. But let's just remember that dropping routes is never a good sign for a pipeline company. It's their job to try to make it look like a good thing, but this is not a good thing. They said that this was about efficiency and about communities. But we have a lot of questions. It just makes no sense that this far along, Summit is all of a sudden dropping routes. Like I said it a minute ago, did Summit drop the ethanol plants or did ethanol plants drop Summit? If the ethanol plants drop Summit, is there a chance that more ethanol plants will drop Summit? And we just need to reach out to them and get farmers who do business with them to let their opinion be heard. Why did they keep their options open? And we can't trust Summit. Their press statement that they put out had a lot of, for right now, we're not going to pursue these routes and maybe in the future. So there's a lot of things that mean we have to remain vigilant and we have to keep fighting to make sure that Summit withdraws this project completely, or if we can get the Iowa Utilities Commission to just dismiss their project and their applications and the permit that they already have. So while this is big news and good news, and we still have a lot of work to do, Summit's also trying to make a lot of changes with the Iowa Utilities Commission. So I'm going to review those for a minute here and then tell you how you can take action to help make sure we get this project over and done with. So they just made the dropping 200 miles announcement this week on, I believe, Wednesday. But for a few months now, Summit has been asking for big changes with the Iowa Utilities Commission. Giving you a little bit of background, Summit's Phase 1 permit was approved with conditions back in, I believe, 2023, 2024. And some of those conditions said that Summit cannot begin construction until they have a permit in North and South Dakota. A big deal. That means the permit that they have, they cannot use. They cannot begin construction. Shortly after that, South Dakota banned eminent domain for carbon pipelines, making it very difficult for Summit to go through South Dakota up to North Dakota. So Summit asked to have some of those conditions removed. They don't want to have to worry about the Dakotas anymore. They want to actually consolidate their Phase 1 and their Phase 2 permits, which is not fair to the Phase 2 people who will be fast-tracked, and it's not fair to the Phase 1 people who already litigated this whole process. So Summit's also trying to fast track, and they want to have a final hearing on July 8th of this year. So they've been asking the Iowa Utilities Commission to consider this. But right now, that case for phase one was in district court. We've been appealing it. So they asked the judge, can you send this whole case back to the IUC so they can consider those changes? The judge did agree, but said that it was limited to just those conditions of North and South Dakota and the fact that South Dakota banned eminent domain for carbon pipelines. So we're back at the IUC to consider these things that Summit is asking for. Sierra Club Iowa chapter filed a response to what Summit's asking for. And bottom line, we're asking Iowa Utilities Commission to completely revoke Summit's phase one permit. Too much has changed. They were originally a carbon pipeline capturing CO2 at ethanol plants to ship it up to North Dakota to be sequestered. They are not that pipeline anymore. That's not what they are proposing to do. So we want to just revoke it. Too many changes, too many phases and confusing things. It's time to just revoke it and make them start over. We want Iowa Utilities Commission to deny Summit's amendment requests. That all of these changes, Summit already went through the hearing, they were approved, we've been in the courts, and we should not be approving all of these changes willy-nilly that Summit is asking for. We do not think the Iowa Utilities Commission should consolidate all of the phase one and the phase two dockets. Like I said a minute ago, it's not fair to fast track those phase two landowners, and it's not fair to make the phase one landowners relitigate something that they've already spent years on. And then finally, we want the Iowa Utilities Commission to make sure they're listening to the specific words from the judge when he remanded it back to the Iowa Utilities Commission. He said that the scope of what the IUC should be able to consider is just the changes in South Dakota. So we shouldn't be approving consolidations or amendment requests or all of these other things. We should just be looking at South Dakota. There were a lot of other responses filed by other parties. The Geordie landowners is the large group of landowners that have all hired Brian Geordie as their attorney. The counties are a bunch of counties who have hired Tim Whipple, the Farm Bureau, the Office of Consumer Advocate, which ironically, is the agency that's supposed to be the consumer's advocate, but their comments were mostly just, we don't really have an opinion. The OCA is no longer really representing the consumers in Iowa. And then there were lots of joinders, which means landowners filed, things that say, I agree with Sierra Club, or I agree with Geordie landowners or the counties. Sierra Club, Geordie landowners, and the counties all had very similar, viewpoints on what the Iowa Utilities Commission should do, echoed a lot of the same arguments regarding the amendments and the consolidation. Farm Bureau's was not quite as strong. OCA, like I said, was, really had no opinion. And then the joinders were really powerful to see so many people echo the requests of Sierra Club, the counties, and Geordie landowners. So there's a couple things you can do to make sure that we just nip this in the butt and make sure Summit's project completely gets canceled. The one that is really important is submit an objection with the Iowa Utilities Commission. And it's a simple message: no amendment, no consolidation, no fast tracking. It's time to revoke Summit's permit. And you can copy and paste that word for word, or you can write your own. There are a couple different ways to submit these comments. You can do it snail mail, which now might be the easiest way to communicate with the Iowa Utilities Commission, because you can also do it online, but they've made it pretty difficult. You do have to create an account. So I've posted the link in the chat. You can click on that link and you'll need to create an account, and then you can submit your comment. If you have any problems making your account, you can call customer service at 515-725-7300. That's the IUC customer service, and they can walk you through creating your account and using that electronic filing system. There are lots of dockets to submit your comments on. So when you're in there, you can select more than one. You're looking for the ones that say Summit or SCS for Summit Carbon Solutions. The numbers are posted on the screen below, but you can also just type in Summit or type in SCS and they will all pop up. Lastly, you can join us this coming Wednesday, May 20th at 9 a.m. at the Iowa Utilities Commission's monthly meeting. There's a public comment period where everyone gets 3 minutes to make their voice heard. Starts at 9 a.m. and their office is 1375 East Court Avenue in Des Moines. So we hope that you can join us on Wednesday, and that way we can make sure the Iowa Utilities Commission does not accept any of the changes Summit's requesting, and that we can make sure that they end up revoking the permit. So please take action. This is big news, and this is the time that we all need to step up. If Summit's project is dwindling and struggling, we need to get even louder and push even harder. So please have a great weekend, and we'll hope to see you on Wednesday. And don't forget to submit your objection to the docket over the weekend. Thank you very much, everyone, and we hope you have a great day. Bye.